world gone mad. On Tuesday morning, there was the terrorist attacks in Brussels. It was a spectacle to see the reactions to it. I basically kept myself away from everything related to Facebook, social media, and watched the whole thing. And I would like to share some thoughts of the attacks, and as well mostly the reaction towards the attacks, which I think is much more terrifying than the attacks itself. Basically, social media was exploding with messages, pictures, status updates, reports on what's happening, and terrorism has reached Europe. Like, there was one politician who said, it was not an attack on Brussels airport, it was an attack on Europe as a whole. I find that a little bit exaggerating, but just slightly. I think as well there was, the UKIP, the idiot party from England, who said, okay, it's a fault of Schengen that we have free movement in Europe that allows terrorists and supports terrorists to do these things. We should close our borders. That's not how it works, by the way. And I mean, so many, of course, if you put a light on a building, that doesn't solve the problem of terrorism. That's just... But the thing, for example, that I liked a lot to see as a reaction was the reaction of the people in Brussels, because they were told that stay inside, it's safe, be afraid. And what they did was they actually went out and went back to the city square and covered the whole city square in painted hearts and said they're gonna piss on the whole attacks. And it was a very good contrast to actually what the people do and what our politicians tell us to do, because I'm a bit upset and pissed off by it. I think it's good to put it a bit into a perspective on what happens and what's going on. So maybe I can go to the concept of proximity, like from a media selling perspective, because you can tell people that because it's so random, like it's not targeted, attack innocent people who have nothing to do with it. And so this way we can tell people it can happen to you everywhere, every single second. And that makes it so dramatic. The news media stations, they couldn't get faster the first information out, the first picture that you get without reflecting anything of it. I think there's a madness behind it that's maybe even as dangerous as the whole attacks itself, because the fear that it creates and the response of the politicians to it's instead of being calm and let's handle the situation, let's jump to conclusions, let's close borders, let's put this stuff up, let's put a bigger budget on securities and vote for me because I will do this. And that's where the point is, where I'm getting pissed off, because, I mean, what the fuck? There's the same accidents and incidents happen all over the world. I mean, just the ambiguity we have, Paris and Brussels and Ankara, it's still, Europe-wise, it's Europe-based, but no one talked about, the whole Ankara-Istanbul situation, all eyes on Brussels-Paris. You blast the media out, tell people you can die every second from now on, and people get afraid by it. Instead of saying okay, there was an explosion, it was a crime attack. This, I think, a new movement that terrorism is so much a political campaign instead of a crime situation. If you look back several years, the bombings in Madrid, in the London tube bombings, then there was the Breivik situation where he killed so many people, but he was an individual. He was standing for himself. There was no reaction in a way of we have to change policies, we have to boost security, because he was the lone wolf. I said it I have another episode, I can put it here of again, don't touch my Schengen, because if we put up borders again between our countries in Europe, and that's not gonna solve the problem. That's just gonna block everything and makes it so much more worse. To get back to the original topic, has the world gone mad? I would like to share some idea from a philosopher like Leibniz. Some of you might have heard of him. He has this idea of perspective, that our realities are very particular, that you have basically a lot of realities. So just imagine you have a city which you can look on from one side of the city. You look at the city and then you go to the other side of the city. You look still at the same city, but it looks completely different. But it's still the same city. And if you're in the middle of the city center, it again looks completely different to those other two perspectives. Just think of the house, the city situation, right? We have a complete city of millions of people live, and there's one house which is on fire. And all we do is focus on this one tiny house. But there's a volcano eruption coming. And no one talks about the volcano. So we talk about terrorism, like the Belgium situation is in the news everywhere, but if you look at the death count, what's happening in Syria, that we always talk about ISIS, but no one talks about Assad slaughtering people to the masses and bombing his own civilians. And I think by now he killed more than like 250,000 people died in the last couple of years since the civil war started. And then all we do is put all our eyes on one incident here. We still have millions of refugees at our doorstep, like being stuck in the camps of Idomeni. And on another, like to make it again like the perspective idea, to bring another perspective on it, we so much focus, but terrorism is, as a world problem, such a small problem. We're facing climate change, you know, no one talks about that. We face global poverty. And on the last essays I wrote, like I was getting a bit into the topic, and there are so many aspects linked as a result of poverty that lead to death as well. And the death count is, what I saw like the last papers, is goes up to 15 million a year. And we only considered of like this is happening at our doorsteps, but we like ignore everything else that's going on in the world. Of course, my perspective is as well limited in so many ways, because I cannot have like the God's eye view of knowing everything, you know. But this is just the thing that I see. You have like the media here focusing only on this one thing the whole time, and I'm sick of it, really. Just as an idea, like please, if you watch the next time the news and something happens, like think of like this aspect and the perspective they sell it from. And to my political leaders, don't give in to these terrorist threats. And like if like nationalism is on the rise now, and people telling, let's say the normal population, that if we only focus about our things, this is gonna solve the problems, but react to it like by shutting down borders, like be rational about it and basically listen to the people. We can only fix international problems by working together. The world by now is so interconnected that we cannot shut ourselves in. I can already see like politicians will start in the next days to discuss how we can make security higher. And I like maybe finish with the quote that he who trades freedom for security will in the end lose both. To wrap it up, has the world gone mad? No, the world has always been like this. It's just our perception of it that changes. And the moment our perception changes, the world changes as well. And then we can take action to basically, from this different perspective, fix it. And in this sense, thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. So let me know. And yeah, see you next week, guys. And girls. Feminism.